では次、腕を下げた状態で力鍛えられたタイプだ。実にいい筋肉。
同じようにわかるか？
は？もしかして自分の方が綺麗だと誇示したいなんて。
Hi there everyone, Lars back with another Apothecaries review and analysis brought to you by Camille's Harem. Not just a podcast by novice writers for novice writers, but also a YouTube channel by novice writers for novice writers, because writing is an adventure, it's more fun with friends. And this episode really brought us back to the good old days of the Apothecary Diaries, where we're just sitting around having fun, things are going nice and slow, and we're getting quality character development. This episode revolves primarily around Lihaku trying to build up the courage to confront the impossible task of buying out Pairin's contract as a courtesan and making her his wife. And it's not just about the money, it is also about the compatibility, about facing his own station, her line of work, and the perceptions of other people. This guy's got a lot going on, and it's good to see that he's got a lot of people in his corner, not the least of which is the lady herself. So let's quickly review the events of this episode. They are incredibly straightforward. Again, this is an episode where it feels like so much is happening, despite the fact that there's not a whole lot actually changing on screen. For Lihaku, after spending some time at the Vidigra's house and learning that one of the three princesses is about to have her contract bought out, he cannot help but fear that it's Pairin who's about to have her contract bought out, and he is sweating bullets. As a result, it's so hard for him to get his mind into the game, to train, to drill, to be the proper soldier and officer that he needs to be. He is absolutely freaking out, so he calls Mao Mao on over to have an interview with her. Like, how do I buy out a courtesan's contract? What do I need in order to buy out Pairin's contract? Will this all work out? And I love how Mao Mao is just like, look, there's a whole lot going on right here. And you have to understand, it's not as simple as saying, I have 10,000 silver, which is definitely not an easy thing for this guy. But it is about, how do you look? Your compatibility with Pairin. Who else is vying for Pairin's hand? Who else stands a chance of buying out her contract? There are other people involved. Furthermore, the price could go up, or the price could go down, all depending on Pairin's choice herself, as well as which other people may come in and bid on her contract. It's not as simple as simply going in, throwing down the money, and saying, boom, this lady's my wife. It depends on other people, because when someone says, I'm going to buy out her contract, it goes public, and other people who wish to bid on taking out her contract, on buying her out, have the opportunity to do so. However, the woman herself, especially being such a well sought after courtesan, one of the three princesses, she also gets a say in the matter, and she can turn down anyone who is seeking to buy out her contract, at least up to a certain extent. Now, unfortunately for Lihaku, a lot of this is simply going over his head. So Mao Mao starts working on figuring out just how compatible he is with Pairin. And I keep saying that again because Pairin has a specific kind of appetite. She's not just simply looking for a man who's going to make her laugh and make her feel fulfilled in the bed, but also the kind of man who's going to fit with her personality. Mao Mao, as being basically the surrogate daughter of Pairin, as we find out in this episode, who was not just simply raised as a sister, but almost raised as a daughter by Pairin. Well, Mao Mao has a lot of insights into what her big sis likes in a man. So she is going to get into Lihaku's corner because, well, she likes the guy. And from what she can observe, there's a lot of things about him that she knows Pairin will like, and not just the stuff in the bed. Granted, as she says, that is very important, and that is true. Physical connection is something important to have in any sort of romantic relationship. But Mao Mao is also letting Lihaku know it goes even deeper than that. And as far as she's concerned, he has that. He just needs to be more sure of himself and take the initiative, which we see him do at the end of the episode by writing to her by saying, look, I want to buy you out, I want to marry you, but I also understand that I am a very low-level customer. I can only afford so much time with you. I only got to spend time with you because I basically was given a coupon by Mao Mao. So let's then start up a relationship via letter. Let's get to know each other. I'm going to share gifts and my thoughts, my feelings with you, and hopefully you'll share the same with me. And that right there, that, ladies and gentlemen, is quality from this man. That is how he should be going about this. However, before we get to the letters and all the good fluffiness, well, Mao Mao, once again, has to make sure that he is the right type of man for Pairin, and she has him strip, and unfortunately, it's right when Jingli comes looking for her, and this guy is thunderous right here. But rather than blowing up on Lihaku, he decides to be a little bit manipulative. Oh, good of you, Mr. Courtly Jingli, where he does his research into this muscle man who's been spending so much time with Mao Mao, and then tries to put him a little bit into a corner. What do you want with her? Are you seeking to buy her on out? You get this very interesting exchange of vague barbs and words between the two of them towards the end of the episode, where Jinji's trying to evaluate what this guy actually wants. He doesn't know that Lihaku's after Pairin, he just knows that this guy's after a courtesan. And so he's like, if you wish to buy out a courtesan, I can give you 20,000 silver, which kind of gives you then an idea of how much he probably paid for Mao Mao. He wants to see if Lihaku is going to go for that. And yeah, who knows what would really have happened should Lihaku have taken up that offer. But Lihaku shows his mettle by saying, look, I am in love with this courtesan. In the way that he speaks, Jingli finds out really clearly, really quickly, that he's not talking about Mao Mao, especially when he refers to Mao Mao as his little cat. And Lihaku's like, well, your little cat's trying to help me get together with this other girl. And Jinji's like, okay, I'm already feeling way better about the situation. And you didn't take up my bribe. You didn't take up my offer. You're a man of principle. I like that. And so Jinji's not going to toy around with this guy so much anymore, unless he feels like Lihaku's again spending too much time around Mao Mao. And really, you almost have it right there. That's basically the whole episode, minus the little B-plot bit where Mao Mao is helping out the doctor with what might be going wrong with his family paper-making business, and that their use of cows in the process, since cows have so much saliva, that the saliva has been mixing with the glue and making the glue weak, thereby deteriorating the quality of the paper. The paper now comes apart a whole lot easier than it should. And the process of creating the mesh and everything, they go over that, which is neat. It's neat to go over the more old-timey ways of making paper, which honestly, the recipe of making paper is pretty much the same as it has been for hundreds, if not thousands of years. It's just that we've gotten way better at the industrialization of making paper and making it quality the entire way through the ream. And this little B-plot is good to have around because it again underscores just how good Mao Mao is. When she gets nosy and gets involved in other people's business, it's usually to try to do the right thing. And again, we also see how Mao Mao normally tries to go about things in a roundabout way rather than being absolutely direct. And in this episode is one of the most direct ways that she's been, other than just simply sprinting to go save a government official, which turned out to be Jingli, as well as a few other things like when she slapped down Lady Lihao's lady-in-waiting, who had been applying acidic, destructive makeup to her, which was killing her. So we do know that Mao Mao can be direct, but usually she does things in a roundabout way, which just fits in with her character because the way that she's been raised, especially by her adoptive father, is that you try to do good for other people and you do it in a kind, soft, gentle way, which is usually then therefore not direct, and you try to guide people to the solution rather than outright give it to them, especially because in her experience, and we get this kind of brought up a little bit in this episode, that if you're just simply direct with another person, that they might then reject the help that you're offering them, and help rejected is might as well not be any help at all. And if you're trying to actually help someone out, why not do it in a way in which they may be more persuaded to accept your advice and assistance? Now, what I really enjoy about this episode is what it tells us of Lihaku, about this determined good man who is a bit of an oaf. He's definitely not the brightest bulb in the bunch. He's not the greatest crayon in the box, but he is still a good man. And while not a power player or a driving force within this series, that doesn't mean that his story isn't important either. And what I also love is how in this episode we get Pairin saying that she's still waiting for her prince to come and sweep her away. If we remember back to the earlier parts of the series, there are almost no true happy endings meant for the world of the Apothecary Diaries, especially for many of these women. They have to take the best that is offered to them. And the princess that we had earlier, the dancing princess, her story ended up being one of the happiest because she did get together with the man that she loved thanks to their very elaborate scheme. They just managed to pull it off. Well, here we have another potential happy ending being set up. And what I like about this one is rather than through subterfuge that this happy ending can be pulled off, this is a happy ending that can come about because these two characters are actually healthily developing a romantic relationship, and that they in their own way are working towards that point where Lihaku can buy out Pairin's contract and then take her for his wife. That is really great to see. And again, to the subject of women's power, autonomy, freedom, which has been constant throughout the series, we see Pairin, who is a courtesan bound to the Vidigrus house, exercising the power that she has within that brothel system. Yes, she is a prostitute. She will be sold to someone. She is supposed to deliver services based on the people who are able to pay. That is her job, and she is bound to that and to all the expectations and rules that come with it. But by being the best that she can be, by elevating herself through skill and through taking care of her body, she has attained a very powerful state of status within the Vidigrus house, which gives her more autonomy than many of the other girls that are there. And she is using that power to seek out her own happy ending. And it's good for her that she's met a guy like Lihaku, who is her type in so many ways. And it's good to see that he is taking the right steps to solidify their relationship. And as we see, she is reciprocating, and she will continue to push back against the madame in order to entertain the possibilities with Lihaku and give him the time necessary to get enough funds that he could enter the bidding war, and that she then can justify choosing him over the way wealthier customers, as it were, the other bidders who will come and try to buy out her contract. This is a great example of her power, her control in this situation. So there is a whole lot going on in this episode once we start digging past the initial conversations and funniness that is playing out right here, which is again a fantastic strength to the Apothecary Diaries as a whole. When it seems like things are just going really slow and like the main plot isn't necessarily being progressed, we are getting fantastic character development and excellent world building through the conversations and through the interactions that these characters have. That is excellent writing. None of this requires an info dump. This just requires the characters being themselves within the various situations that the writers have created for them. And that's what you want to do as an author yourself. You don't want to simply burden people with info dumps and with long, lengthy conversations that just tell you everything that you need. You need to see interactions. You need characters being themselves within various situations, and as characters try to navigate various situations together, they will expose a lot of who they are and a lot of their knowledge of the world, thereby sharing it not only with each other, but sharing it with the audience. And that is a far more natural way of conveying world building and character development than just simply info dump, which is what way too many writers do, unfortunately, both novice and professional. So with all that being said, that's been this review for episode 21 of the Apothecary Diaries. And if you're looking for more reviews, analyses, and the likes, then please check out our other videos here on our channel. And if you'd like to support the work that we do, then please like, comment, share, subscribe if you haven't already done so. And it would help us out so much if you check out the books that we have published. Buy a copy or two. It would help us out a lot. Links for them are in the description below. video. But otherwise, thank you so much for joining us on this incredible adventure that we call writing. And until the next video, y'all, choose.
最後の一枚も脱いでください。あ、ごきげんよう、ジン様。ドーン。